Welcome everyone to another epic episode whereby we dive into the world of politics. So recently, I was just watching Bitsini Dlozi when he was talking about his departure from the EFF. And he said that he has nothing but love for the CIC and all the fighters in the EFF. So now I want us to talk about something very interesting that he said, because it seems like now he has changed his position and he has became now a person who now praises Ramaphosa. So President Ramaphosa has been praised by Mbizeni and Luzi. I was following his interviews recently, and he said something very shocking to say that they were misled in believing that President Ramaphosa is an agent of white monopoly capital. He says that look at the policies he's just implementing. There's no precedent in all the precedent that we had that has done what President Ramaphosa has done.
Expropriation bill?
The expropriation bill has a problem. We want land to be expropriated without compensation. In other words, Section 25 of the Constitution must go in its entirety. You can't say land will be expropriated and there will be nil compensation. That notion is very deceptive. We know that, and we have said it before.
Deceptive how?
Well, look at the act studied. If the government was sincere about expropriating land without compensation, there's an obvious thing to do. It is to amend Section 25 of the Constitution. Finish and clear.
So others were even questioning the moves of President Ramaphosa to say that they don't see any way how black people are going to get helped in these policies, right? So while the other side feel that these policies are a threat, but they are not a serious threat, then they challenge the president to say that if now you want to do this thing of land expropriation, just combine with the EFF, the MK party, and other progressive black parties and amend the constitution, section 25 of this constitution. That is when you'll be talking business. But as far as things are, you are still joking. You're not serious about anything. So now, Mbiseni said that they were misled. Now the big question is, they were misled by who? Let's watch what Mbiseni had to say here.
Talking about President Ramaphosa, I mean, you a couple of days ago tweeted something that was quite interesting. You said, well, we were misled about Ramaphosa. I'm just paraphrasing.
Yeah.
We were misled about Ramaphosa, and then you started mentioning why you're saying that, because you felt some of what he is doing now is radical and perhaps progressive. So were you misled, and misled by who?
We grew up in the circles of left-wing thinking, left-wing formations within the mass democratic movement. In those circles, President Cyril Ramaphosa is characterized as part of the white South Africa's capitalist establishment, and the fact that he became a billionaire did not help.
So what is interesting is that it is not only Mbiseni Dlozi who's crying foul about this deception of getting misled. You remember Floyd Shivambu, after he left the EFF, he echoed the same sentiment about him getting misled. Do you remember? Let's watch this video here.
Just clarify this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this now because I'm in Mkonto Wesizwe. I said it when I was still in the EFF. Like possibly for the past, if people pay close attention to what we say and write publicly, I said on several occasions that we were misled on President Zuma. Like long before there was even discussion of the formation of Mkonto Wesizwe. That is why, as part of these engagements,
that's why I really want to know.
Yes.
We were misled.
Yes.
Who misled you?
So now what is shocking is that Mbiseni Dlozi, who just left the EFF, and Floyd Shivambu, who just left the EFF. They both crying foul about getting misled. Just imagine for Mbisenidlozi, he's been with the EFF for the past 11 years. Are you saying that this man never recognized that he was misled about President Cyril Ramaphosa's position of him working for the establishment or the white monopoly capital? It took him the whole 11 years for him to just recognize, to say that now I'm misled because I've left the EFF. This thing seriously is very questionable, right? So now the big question on the table is that who misled them, both of them, for this long? Who misled them there in the EFF? So there's a video I want to play about the CIC. He was more of exposing the role and the character and how the establishment have worked with President Cyril Ramaphosa. So it is clear that the person who has misled them is none other than Julius Malema. Let's hear what is the stance of the CIC when it comes to President Ramaphosa and his dealings here.
You know, you guys must get someone who, with courage, to just do a documentary about Cyril. Cyril didn't attend Mandela's inauguration because he was angry at Nelson for not putting him as a deputy president. Because the Oppenheimers have been touting him that he will be Mandela's deputy president. Cyril has been self-seeking, and he has been saving the Oppenheimer and the Minel family and all of them with loyalty, and not now. From the 70s. From the 70s, Cyril has been working with these people. Cyril went to establish a new NUM, a union of mine workers without being a mine worker. Cyril has never been a mine worker. Cyril has never been underground a mine. He went to school to do law. When he came back, he served as a legal officer in the Oppenheimer family. Then there was a commission of investigating black workers' conditions or something like that, which came with a recommendation that unions of black workers must be recognized. Upon realizing, the Oppenheimers, that now these people are going to be recognized, they're going to cause a problem, sponsored the formation of the NUM. For some reason, he found himself in the UDF, then in the reception committee of Nelson Mandela. So when Mandela walks out of Portsmouth prison, you must look at that video. You don't know whether Cyril is a bodyguard or what, but he's there giving the car direction. By the wall is the one who's holding the mic. This guy is infiltrating Nelson. When Nelson arrives, sleeps one night in Soweto, and then comes back comes to Johannesburg. With which money? From where? And then he stays in the Minel's family house. Now, the Minel are one of the big mining families in South Africa. So when you say he stayed in Minel's family house, you're thinking, oh, maybe it's a complex. Same house. He meets Minel's children on the passage wearing gowns. Minel's child, when Mandela passed on, said, we used to see the names we see on TV at our house because these people used to come there and meet Nelson. He moves from Minel, he goes to Sexen Hotel. He moves from Sexen Hotel, he goes to Houghton. We who have been working, we have now been to prison. When we buy houses ourselves, we get questioned, how can Malema buy a house in Sandton? Mandela bought a house in Houghton. With which money?
So the CIC disclosed that President Cyril Ramaphosa was groomed and trained by the Minels and the Oppenheimers. And if you know, that family is the same family that it is alleged that they are controlling the economy of South Africa. And he says that President Cyril Ramaphosa has been groomed by them, and they were the ones who were funding his education And it is reported that President Cyril Ramaphosa's father was the policeman during the apartheid years. So he was even questioning Parliament to say that how come you had privileges when the likes of Terra Likota got arrested and you were released, and your father was working for the apartheid police system while he was black. So these suspicions come there to say that you sold out and your family was getting privileges from these guys. So now there's this talk to say that when we look at the struggle heroes, those ones who went to exile, those ones who formed a part of Umkhonto weSizwe going to exile, it is reported that Cyril Ramaphosa was not there amongst that group. It is reported that Oliver Tambo asked after Nelson Mandela was released in prison when Cyril Ramaphosa went and he was carrying the umbrella for Utata Umandela, and it is reported that Oliver Tambo did ask and said Ubani lo, because comrades didn't know him. Let us watch this video here.
We questioned, where does this man come from? I didn't even know whether this man is a politician or what. I only saw him when he went to receive Mandela with an umbrella carrying. I didn't know whether it's a bodyguard or what. We didn't know that man.
So it's true that at some point, Ubaba Oliver Tambo asked to Ubani lo.
Exactly. Everybody questioned. We also questioned ourselves.
See him for the first time?
For the first time. Read his struggle credentials. You can't find Cyril political. People are imposing things on Cyril. Cyril is telling them he was a leader of a church, youth church. He was never anywhere political. He was planted on us.
But then I heard that when he was at the University of Limpopo, he was with Botera, and they were also, at some point, they had problems with the apartheid.
Cyril, that part is not read well. Cyril was planted to our hotel. Hence, he was not released. Remember, this is a son of a police sergeant of the old system. And Cyril was also a constable in the old same system. He was even awarded with the award, I don't know for what, maybe for pimping or something. Because there was no policeman who was awarded during the apartheid system. A black policeman was not recognized by the government.
So the CIC Julius Malema said something very interesting about the biography of Cyril Ramaphosa. He says that we need someone who will do a documentary about Cyril Ramaphosa, about where does he come from, right? After completing his degree in 1981, he joined an independent trade union movement, the Council of Union of South Africa, CUSA, when the government and the Chamber of Mines announced their decision to allow black mine workers to join unions. CUSA propelled Ramaphosa into establishing the National Union of Mine Workers, NUM, in 1982. Which mobilized extensively against oppression in the eyes of many black mine workers. He was a true compatriot who fought for the transformation of labor relations in mining industry under the apartheid government. Fearlessly, he steered NUM to focus its campaign on wages and working conditions for black mining workers. In effect, the union won scores for significant victories through bargaining and the courts. So now what is interesting about this information is that Cyril Ramaphosa was always known as a leader of a union. But now it seems like it is reported that he was parachuted to the ANC. That was happening at the time. But I want you to notice something, especially about these businesses that President Ramaphosa was also parachuted on, and it does not end there. Do you remember what de Klerk said about Ramaphosa?
If the ANC wins and President Ramaphosa keeps his promises, things will get better.
Thank you to the ANC for electing Mr. Ramaphosa. You've got no idea. You've got no idea how important that is for this country's future. And my dad realized that. Close to his death, he was a happy man because of this monumental event in our history.
De Klerk endorsed President Cyril Ramaphosa, and he said that Ramaphosa must keep his promises. Things will get better if only he keeps his promises. So what are promises that the president needed to keep? Remember when the president came to power, few things that he needed to do. Remember what happened to SAA? SAA equity was open and it was given to white companies. Then number two, ESCOM contracts and tenders were given to white companies, and senior positions were given to white managers at ESCOM, right? Then you remember the 500 billion that President Ramaphosa took as a loan. It was used to compensate white businesses and firms. That is why that money finished just in 3 to 6 months. Then it was finished and it went again for another loan. So a lot of things has happened. So now Mbuyiseni Dlozi come and say that this president is not working for white people. How come? Because a person who can be endorsed by De Klerk, you've heard even another white guy saying that this man, we need him there. We need him there. So what is happening? So in addition, look at all the companies that our president have shares on and look at the ownership of these companies, who owns them. So unfortunately, for these few small policies that the president has endorsed, does not say anything to Mbuyiseni Dlozi. Now this message is directed, does not prove anything, because as far as things are concerned, it seems like the president have taken state-owned enterprises and gave those equity to white-owned companies. So would you say that he's not put there as an agent, is not working for these guys? Maybe it happened that with Donald Trump, they are not friends. They don't see eye to eye. But remember that President Ramaphosa is the same guy who used to go and visit Joe Biden. So it means that he was friends with Joe Biden, but he is not friends with Donald Trump. So when it comes to those who are controlling South Africa, it does not prove anything. He may be the enemy of Trump, but he can be friends with the Oppenheimers, the Minerals, and with Rupert. So is the president captured? We don't know. Only the fruits will tell us whether he's captured or not. But so far, we differ. Personally, I differ with you, Mbuyiseni Dlozi. The president does seem like he is captured. Look at now, the ANC is in bed with the DA. Whose decision was that? We don't know. Maybe it is business, as Helen Zille has pointed out, to say business is the one that has pushed everything to be the outcome as it is. Please don't forget you can support this channel by leaving your comment on the section below, and you can press the super thanks, and please don't forget you can subscribe to this channel. Until we meet on the next video, and I'm out.